Hi, I'm William. I'm the maintainer of the SS project and community. Today, I want to talk about how I use AI to improve my speaking and listening English. So, as a software engineer and open source maintainer, English is an essential skill for my daily work. But for a long time, my English, especially the listening and speaking English, was a real bottleneck even after working in Canada English environment. In early 2025, my self-help scores, the English test scores for listening and speaking were both six, just six, and I improved the listening to eight about half a year later, and then I only improved my speaking English to eight after practicing uh, another 6 months with AI. And in the early days of 2025, I heavily depend on subtitles in meeting and YouTube videos. And I don't want to talk now. Um, I can follow the meetings and YouTube videos without subtitle, and I can express my idea much more literally. So in this video, I would like to share how I use AI to improve my listening, especially the speaking skills, so that I can communicate and maintain the open source community more effectively. The first thing is that why I choose English as the communication language for the open source community, and why I need to practice English even I'm in English environment. So I think there's a common belief, a common wrong belief that if you live in an English environment, your English skills will automatically improve within several months. But my experience proves this is wrong, totally wrong. I work in Canada, and I have been working in Canada for almost a year. Most of my workmates are in the United States, and English is the everyday working language. But even so, my listening, especially speaking skills, was still very weak. So I think the reason is very simple. The environment, the English environment, does not turn into your English skills automatically. Besides this, I choose English as the community language. It is not because English is better, it is just because English is the de facto language of software engineer and software developer. All the codes, documents in most of the developer in the community use English. And I don't want to rely on translation by AI tools, especially in the meeting, online meeting or in-person meeting. I need to improve my listening and spoken language. Compared to listening, I think speaking is my biggest bottleneck because speaking um, is very different to other listening or reading, and I have many tools or solution to avoid speaking or to do not talk in the medium. For speaking, I think there's low time to think, and you cannot update what you said. So it made me less of confidence to speak. And this also show in my both in my work and in my test scores. While my other skills improved slowly. For example, my listening improved from 6 to 7 after 6 months. But my speaking always stayed behind. It always 6 for about 8 months. Mm, I think the problem is I cannot find a way to practice my speaking without pressure. So I cannot practice for a long time every day, for enough time every day. Before talking about speaking, I want to share about how I improve my listening from 6 to 8 within 6 months. I think listening is the first skill I need to focus on because without listening, if I do not understand what others said, how can I speak or what should I say? Nothing. I think nothing. So um, therefore, um, I think the most wrong thing I I did during the um, listening practice is that I try to understand everything I heard. For years, I think listening just like reading, so I need to understand every sentences. But now I use a more later practice, just listening, keep listening, and without understand maybe most of the part, and eventually I will start to understand. So the understanding come later, not first. For listening, I think the content choice matters most. I know someone choose like children's cartoons because it is simple content, but I think it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't work because you don't really interested in the content. And therefore, I switched to content I really care about. For example, the news analysis, some long videos discussing OTD talks, just because I'm interested in some deep or detailed analysis videos. So um, even when I understood very little at the beginning about these videos, but the interest kept me engaged and fascinated, and I keep listening again and again, and the improvement just subsequently happened. And AI also supports this process, but it's not by translate everything. And I also try to avoid translate as much as possible. If I really interested in a new word that I listened, I will try to speak to AI. This helped me to avoid using my native languages. And besides this, for the content I found that it's interesting. I also combine the listening and the speaking. So it's just because the topic makes sense, um, it will attract me and fascinate me without any frustration. And also practice my speaking and spoken. So over time, the listening is not like something training, but it become a natural habit. I feel that I was not practicing my English, but just simple to listening to things I want to understand. And the AI is not about something that is accurate, but more important, AI is patient. So it made me feel comfortable, and I want to practice my listening longer without any stress. And my listening ability improved over time. So regarding the speaking, so even after I my listening skills improved, I found that my speaking become a problem and didn't improve at all. Even I can understand the meeting much better. Even I can uh, watch the video without subtitles. But if it was my turn to talk, I also hesitate and I try to keep silence as much as I can. Um, so listening is not enough. I also need to improve my speaking. And I found that speaking is fundamentally different from reading and writing. There's no time to think carefully or update your sentence that you said. So you must produce language instantly. Even you are not ready, you are not prepared. It's not even when your thoughts are unclear totally. I think this pressure make the speaking very tough and uncomfortable. And AI changed this by removing all the pressure, so you can speak to AI without any hesitating, or you can speak to AI with mistake or pause or repetition or anything that awkward or embarrassment. AI won't judge you, and you don't bother in the AI. So without any pressure, the segments make the everyday speaking practice possible. I think one mistake that I made was to let the AI lead the conversation, and you will find the conversation become boring quickly, just because the AI will uh, start some repeat or circle conversation or topic. So I learned that the best material is my own real life, and I have to lead the conversation. If I have nothing to say, the speaking practice had very little value. Therefore, my daily life turned out to be the best source that for the speaking materials. I describe what I was cooking, summarize the news I'm interested in, and explain my diary. When I got stuck, AI will help me rephrase, and I will immediately use in my own speech. So I also combine the listening and speaking, and I don't practice them as separate tasks. For example, when I'm listening to news or reading books, I will discuss unfamiliar words that really killed with AI instead of translate and uh, discuss with AI by text. I discuss with AI by speaking and listening. Another important habit is to pause between sentences. I notice many people, especially when I was nervous, I would speak too very fast and too fast, and no pause between sentences, which make the sentence difficult to follow. By consciously adding some pause between the sentence, I got some time to think about the next sentences that I want to speak. And it also make my speech much easier to follow. So over several months, my speaking skills slowly improved, and I always practice express my real thoughts. The improvements not only show in the test score, which increased from 6 to 8, but the improvement also show in the meetings, discussions, and also in my willingness to speak. I think AI did not make the speaking improvement happen automatically. I think what it did is to make the speaking practice possible. So by removing the pressure, it allowed speaking to become a daily habit, but not a stressful course or practice. So, what's about my plan and my future goals? Even when I reach a self-help score of 8, but my goal is 10, which means I can express myself more fluently or precisely in English. I think it is not just a test score, but it is not. It is about communication, ideas, skills without any hesitation. I don't think this will happen within months. I think it may take about years, maybe 1 to 3 years. So my plan is quite simple. Just keep practicing every day and just let the improvement slowly happen. Currently, I usually spend about 4 to 5 hours a day on English. So this is not something that whole block time, but I integrated it to my daily routine. For example, every morning when I prepare the breakfast, I listen to English, to some news or podcast. And after listening, I usually discuss my thoughts or my diary with AI. Once I can express the idea clearly in speech, I will write them down sentence by sentence. This process is very helpful because it collects listening, speaking, and writing into a single loop. So I plan to continue refining this process and update what works and what doesn't work, and I will share it with you. That is all I want to talk about. So see you next time. Bye bye.